My channel. My name is Monette, and this is my channel, Evolve with Monette. So happy to be sharing some energy with you this morning. Good morning to people that are still watching in Canada, Just Theory, as you're getting ready for work. Good morning, Macinius. Good morning, everyone else that comes in and shares sunshine with me. So glad to have you here, guys. Welcome in, Tribe. This is what we're going to get into today. Healthy soulmates. Recognize your intrinsic value without needing cross comparisons. Empath, divine feminine, light worker, earth angel. How many of us have been in relationships where people did not recognize our intrinsic value? Now I'm gonna let's work this from the back to the front. It starts with you. People will be reflections of how you see your value. So until you raise your vibration and until you recognize your value, it will not be properly reflected back to you. That doesn't mean that you weren't valuable, even in toxic situations, you were. But it does mean that in order to stay entrenched in those toxic situations, to some level or degree, you did not think that you were valuable. Does that make sense? So that's the hard part, and that's the lesson about extracting yourself from those connections. But now let's talk about it as we move forward. What this also means is that people sometimes will need to cross compare. If you've ever been in a relationship, romantic or platonic, friendship, bestie, you name it, and someone didn't realize your value until they had to go down the road and have a few bad apples, terrible relationships, untrustworthy people, people that were secretly or not so secretly judging them, using them, manipulating, betraying them, whatever the case may be, but you were always 10 toes down, meaning solid. That's a colloquial phrase, but it is said in the black community to be 10 toes down, to hold someone down. You're holding someone down. You're loyal to them even when you knew they weren't loyal to you, because empaths, we're kind of renowned for that being a thing that we do, right? We will give someone and extend someone beyond what they deserve and beyond the grace that they are even worth. But that's because that's the life we sign up for. But here's the thing. I have had the opposite of that, where someone needed to go and taste and see that the world was good in order to understand that I was always good food, cook food, a hot plate, energetically, and in so many other ways. And then I came into a connection with someone who literally, the minute they met me, was like, I see you. I see thee. I see your value. So let's talk about love at first sight. And even though for me it was platonic, it was love at first sight. We both literally felt it. Even driving up to it, I'm going to tell you about this because I'm going to tell my story. And if you don't like a story, then this is not the place to be, because I'm a teller of stories and a writer. I can't help it. It comes out of me. But I remember being on the phone with actually someone who didn't know my value, and me not knowing what God was doing. He was literally allowing that person to see me be handed off to someone who was going to value me incredibly. And I remember people sometimes, because of the work that I do, will be like, oh, I want my family and friends to meet you, because it's been a parlor trick and a party trick for so many years, until I started to really put some respect on my own name and make sure that I was showing up and being respected and being treated nicely. But I'm used to people saying, hey, show up to the party, or will you come and do this? And then people using me. So I get a little apprehensive. And that was before I set better boundaries. Now that can never happen, but it has happened in my life where I would be like, the party trick. Anyway, that may be a message for somebody here. If you guys have a gift, make sure that people value it financially, energetically, or your friends respect you. You're not there to show up to entertain their friends and family. You might be there just to connect, okay? I always say I really relate to Michael Jackson, like having people that he always, like, regular family homes, he would go and sit like and have dinner, and they'd be having Salisbury steak, and it's Michael Jackson, he had a personal chef. He could have like steak flown in from he could have Kobe beef flown in, or he could have like tuna flown in from Japan. He could have whatever he wanted to, but he said his happiest times were having like peas and carrots and mashed potatoes and Salisbury steak at like some suburban house in the middle of nowhere, because he felt normal, and that's something that he needed and missed. I don't know who needs to hear this, so maybe someone here needs people that they can actually just feel normal around. That was something I was desperately seeking because of the work that I was doing and because of how my career was growing in other areas. And I just started to want people that were going to protect me and just make me feel like at home. Anyway, that brings me back to this kind of love at first sight energy, recognizing someone, an Akashic record blowing open, and you realizing like, oh my God, all of this destiny and all of this stuff was leading to this, all that Rascal Flat stuff. God bless the broken road that led me straight to you. Well, literally, I drove down the road that day from a friend that wasn't true to a friend that I would be down the road and back again many times over and over and over in my lives. And probably we might have shared a couple of lifetimes together too, because I remembered her and she remembered me immediately. It was easy. After I had been toiling and laboring, guys, you know the story, trying to make someone recognize my value and love me and be loyal. And they had no interest. They wanted no parts. And it's probably because I wasn't the person that was ever going to capture their heart. A lot of us spend a lot of time putting into friendships, and that was just a friendship and an energies with people that will never see our value, but we have to see it for ourselves. What's so funny is the person that God sent in for me saw it immediately. I remember being on the phone with that disloyal person and being like, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. This is weird because people want me to go meet their friends all the time. And it's kind of a thing that happens in my life. And she was like, yeah, it's really weird. Why are you acting this way? It's weird. But it's funny because she was literally getting to witness the handoff. It was like, you have totally failed. And now we're going to actually put her with a soulmate, excuse me, a soulmate that actually is going to show up and that actually values her. And as soon as I walked in the door, I'll never forget it. We've talked about it before, she and I, but she was sitting Indian style on the floor, and I came in, and if you guys know me in person, I am a fan of things that sparkle and a colorful outfit, and I probably had on something sparkly and colorful that day, and I remember what she was wearing, and it was regular. It wasn't, and no offense when you're listening, sweetie, but it was like she had on like capris and like a really nice white t-shirt. You know how like some white t-shirts have a really good grain in them, like they're expensive. You can just tell even though it's like a white t-shirt. And she had on a white v-neck and it was simple. And she just was like purity and innocence. I don't know how else to explain it. And literally when I walked in, because I had procrastinated out of my fear because I didn't realize I was having a destiny alignment. I didn't understand that there was other stuff bubbling to the surface and my angels were kind of like, get ready, get ready, get ready. You're about to meet your person, the person that you've manifested in, the person that you've known before, the person that it's easy with. And when I got there, I breathed in the door and she was sitting there on the floor and she looked up and she was like, there you are. Because they had been waiting because I was late. But there you are because we had been waiting because we didn't get to meet each other till later in our lives. She recognized me immediately. When she said, there you are, it was like a tinkling. It was like hearing like cymbals and like tinkles and all the things you hear in the movie. This is just a friend. But I heard all of this like angel music. I was like, what the hell is happening? And before the day was over, she was like, I'm adopting you. You're my niece. You're my person. And I love you. And you are worth more. And you're amazing. And we became not just fast friends, but best friends. But it didn't happen overnight. It's interesting. It took time. Good things come to those who wait. I made another video about that, talking about sexual energy. But the same is true for even a good platonic friendship and energy. I had to wait all my life to meet this person and to reconnect with someone who was an actual soulmate. And she recognized my worth immediately. And she didn't have to cross compare me with 20, 50, 11 other people. And she didn't have to figure out and go and taste from the sampling buffet and decide if this friend was going to be better than this friend or whatever. She didn't need that. She realized that I was valuable. And I had put so much work into the person that I was on the phone with as I was driving over to this other friend's house to meet this new soulmate connection of mine. And I remember how much energy I put in trying to define that and for her to really understand the depths of our friendship. And then she would look at me and devalue me as covert narcissists do, and as anybody who doesn't see the value in you will. And she told me that someone that was brand new in her life was the best friend she ever had. And I did not do the same with her regarding this person at all. In fact, I actually protected this person's energy. Message: if you have a relationship in your life that you think will invoke jealousy and that's not your style, empath, protect it. I protected the soulmate very actively, very powerfully from what I knew to be an evil, low vibrational energy because I knew that she operated out of jealousy. And so I didn't talk about her. Not because I was embarrassed of her, I was delighted with her. It's because I knew that low vibration over here, Cruella de Vil, I knew that the goblin would definitely want to kind of like rip that apart, which was funny because she played mind games for me to have a piece of her heart. I'm hearing Janice, take another little piece of my heart now, baby. Break it. She broke my heart repeatedly and tried to have me in competitions energetically and didn't see the intrinsic value in me and literally thought I was disposable and thought she had replaced me better. I would have never done it. In fact, I didn't do it. I didn't create or even get the quote unquote bestie proposal of my life from the person that came into my life till years later. It wasn't something that was happening. In fact, I kept her emotionally at bay, even though I knew that a real soulmate had come my way. This is a story that happens, guys, sometimes when people are not valuing us or we're not in the right relationship. One of the things that's coming to mind for me immediately is Ellen and Portia DeGeneres. They met when they were both in different relationships. And while that situation is romantic, maybe it will have a parallel for you. There's a reason that my angels channel things with me and it comes through. So what they're saying to me is they're reminding me about Ellen's relationship. Being that you guys know I'm bisexual, I paid attention to that relationship in the 90s because Ellen was a trailblazer and was doing things that we didn't do. Now we all know that we all have a duality, a light and shadow side. I guess so we've all learned the shadow side of Ellen. But what I will tell you about that, and Ellen has always talked about her relationships and they've been toxic. Truly, honestly. Like she's talked about like toxic relationships in the past, but we all have toxic relationships. I'm not saying that's what she has with Ellen or with Portia, but what I will say is that they were destined to be with each other and they were both dating other people when they met. And they met at like some award show or party and it was kismet and magical, and they both said they heard the thing I just said I heard, but it was romantic for them, and they had to get out of their relationships and they had to like unravel things and they had to kind of like do stuff. And platonically that was a very similar parallel that I had with my best friend, meaning that we both met when we had other connections that were not valuing us, that did not see our value, and we were like literally bending over backwards to ensure that we were valued, or to ensure that someone saw us as a valuable contributor to their life. And people would blow us off and just not treat us right. And when I tell you my bestie is a freaking sweetie, and you guys will get sick of me talking about it, when I love someone I love them thoroughly. Okay, I'm very grateful for my partner, that's my husband. I'm grateful for other friends in my life that I just share wonderful connections and spiritual bonds with. But when I have a person in my life, no matter who they are, I will talk about them and laud them and value them. My bestie's a sweetie, and it broke my heart for me to see her get treated the way she was getting treated in her relationship, but that wasn't fulfilling for her in another friendship. But what I did know is that it was important for me not to interfere with it. That's another thing, message regarding these connections that are kismet, meaning meant to be, meaning part of your destiny alignment. And I'm hearing Jack Black, the what is it? The Stone of Infinity or the Stone of Destiny. I don't know. Some one of you guys will know what that is out there. Maybe that's significant for somebody. But what I will say is that, or maybe you have someone coming in that's named Jack or Black, or I don't know, I don't know. But what I will say here is that it was hard for me to watch that, but I didn't interfere. It was always going to be our course to have each other, but I wanted us to have each other purely and fairly and squarely. She needed to work out whatever was going on in her relationship with whomever she was with, and I needed to work out what was going on in my relationship with whomever I was dealing with. And I'm going to walk you guys through some of how this looks, because this may be a parallel for you in your new partnerships or those new soulmate connections and energies that come in that don't make you compete and that don't need to compare you. She gave me the space to go visit and to go see what was going on with that person energetically. She held me energetically and she was like, listen, I'll be there on the first thing smoking if you need me. And here's the thing, because I was dealing with it authentically and honestly, I was not telling her I'm raveling down this relationship because I didn't want that to be it. And in fact, I held her at bay energetically because I'm very integral and I believe in seniority and I believe in not cutting the line and I believe in like putting in your time. Unfortunately, the person in my life that I had ascribed all of that lovely energy to did not believe the same for me. Okay. And some of you guys may have that experience. And she was easily ready to discard me and throw me away because she just didn't see that I was valuable to her. And to her, I wasn't. Someone else was. And she threw it in my face and did things I would have never done with her that would have made her crumble. And I think she might have thought I was doing that, but I wasn't. In fact, I went out of my way to hide my relationship with this soulmate who I just was lit up with. I was like, it was sparkling energy that we had. It was easy. It's been the easiest relationship of my life, easiest friendship of my life, right? She also, my bestie, had to do exactly the same thing. She had to reconcile the parts of the relationship that were and weren't working for her, and reconcile what someone was and wasn't giving her, and reconcile that she would go out of her way and show up and do beautiful things for somebody who would literally shut the door in her face. And I knew, and it's so interesting because we now talk about the parallels in our life, and we have delicious parallels all the time, because that's what happens when you're a bestie. You start to share energy and realize like how alike you are, even if you are from different lives and worlds. And she and I were experiencing the same exact parallel relationally in our friendship space, right? And I literally ended up having the person that I was on the phone with shut the door in my face, energetically, actually, not allow me into her home. Very similar things that my bestie had experienced in her connection. And we were experiencing them at the same time, but separately, and not wanting to just galvanize and cling on to each other, but it happened naturally. Neither of us elevated our relationship to the next level of bestiness until we properly put closure emotionally to the connections that we had. We didn't cheat, if that makes sense. While we may have been emotionally attracted, we might have been aware that this person is my person, and oh my God, where have you been all my life? And it was sparkling, and it was immediate, and it was overwhelming, and it was a freight train of happy love and easy connection and energy. We both were responsible emotionally to not get into something unhealthily, because my bestie is of the belief is how you get them is how you lose them. And while that's usually said romantically, I think it can be applied strategically across the board to any relationship dynamic. Enter into a thing integrally. The reason that I know I have a solid connection with this person and she doesn't need to sample and taste the world of friendships is because we both have kind of already done our work and done our sampling. We already kind of know when it's good and it doesn't get better. I know that she is good and I know she's right for me. And I know she was sent to me. She knows that I'm good. She knows that I'm not going to betray her. She knows that I'm interested in her life and her day. I really care about edifying her and building her. She builds me. We rub off on each other in a good way. Neo song, been channeling all morning, but you make me better. But it's in the friendship version, yeah? I'm a movement by myself, but I'm a force when we're together. She makes me better. It's lovely to have that kind of connection. And that soulmate connection happens, and it means that they don't have to cross compare. They don't have to know that there's better out there. That was it was a niggling feeling that I could not shake with the person that was toxic, that's now in my wake, meaning behind me. Have you ever been on a boat? That spray that comes from behind the boat is called a wake. And that person's in my wake now. And what I realized is that I always felt like she was searching and scanning for better. And I tried to make it about her sun sign and the fact that they're explorers naturally, and in the lower vibration they'll always sabotage something to have a new adventure, only to be like, why did I do that? But my angel said that's none of your business. She could be all of those things, but do you deserve that? Because what kind of love do you bring? And they said she's never going to be capable of giving you the kind of friendship that you deserve, because she always thinks there's something better over the horizon and the grass is greener. And they said, so what we're going to doom her to is a Groundhog's Day, a perpetual grass that she thinks is green. That's really astroturf in which she can't even play. They said she will never have satisfaction because the satisfaction was to be found in you. And I thought, that's a harsh thing. Is that what you're really going to do? And they said, yeah, because we talked to her just like we talked to you. And we said, value this. Otherwise, you can have all the things that aren't true. That's what happens to other people that don't value you guys. Just so you know, I got to live it the painful way so that I could teach it to you from a higher evolved space. But I didn't get to the evolution because I'm so magical and that it was easy. It hurt. It sucked. And a lot of documentation has been done here about it. But what I will tell you is the other side of it, on the other side of the rainbow, is this beautiful situation of like, oh my God, this person is just magic. And I'm not idolizing and putting on a pedestal. I really found someone who loves like I do, and who gives as much as I do, and who is as fair as I am, and who never is financially taking advantage of me, who's not a con artist, who is like literally seeking for ways to edify me in every way she can, who is lifting me up, who is my actual friend, who is telepathically connected to me, who calls before I can or I call her and we laugh about it, who knows when I am low and when I need to sleep or when I need to eat, and they mean it. The follow through is real. They know that I care about travel. They make that a big deal. deal. They know that I care about birthdays. They feed into me. They don't cancel on a whim because they're feeling half percent crazy that day. And if they are, we can talk about it and transmute the energy. They are career focused and goal oriented like me. I'm praying for anyone listening that you find your connection, whatever that may be. These things were things that matter to me, and they did not matter to the person who was always like, I think this person's a better person. I just think they are. And everyone around them knew that that wouldn't be true, including their kid. You guys have often heard me say it, but they thought it was true, so they manifested it. They manifested their reality. There's a couple of takeaways from this message this morning. Your soulmate will not put you through all that shit. It'll just be easy. I probably never had an easier relationship. I thank God for it every day. And it's a grown-up relationship, like grown and sexy in a good way, not in any kind of weird way, platonically, but grown and sexy. This is a grown-ass woman. And that's the kind of relationship and friendship dynamic I wanted to have in my life. I am also a grown-ass woman, and we have moments too of delightful childishness. I very much indulge my inner child and I encourage her to do the same, but she's grown, and that means that she's not operating in craziness and wanting to traffic in pain. She's wanting growth, and she's done her own work. And if I'm overcorrecting or I'm doing the most, she can push back a little bit and be like, okay, Monette, maybe this isn't it, or maybe this is. But I'm receptive because I trust her and I know that she only has my best interest at heart. Even if I don't always agree, and even if I don't always do everything she says, or she doesn't do everything I say, I take heed because I know that she only wants to see goodness and light and blessings and abundance and new opportunities and healthy connections come my way. She supports me in everything, in every way. I've never really had a friend that's literally supporting me and not quietly judging me. She's like, girl, I'm there. I co-sign. I'm with you. And not co-signing for the sake of it, because she has her own integrity too. And she says no, and she has boundaries and pushes back. It's beautiful. I pray for anybody listening that you find that balance. But if you're getting out of an unhealthy connection, don't immediately cling to the new one. We purposely, literally took our time. And I think it was really nice. And like I said, we both did our work in those other connections that were like, I don't give a fuck about you. Both of the people that we had dedicated 20 plus years of our life in friendship to did not give a fuck about us. They chose themselves every time. They actually, both interestingly, were the same sign. Um, so whatever is to be said about that sign, I'll leave that in the air. But they actually, interestingly, were both the same sign. The best friends that we had in our life that didn't give us the time of day, that didn't care if we showed up in their town, that didn't care if we drove 85 miles back down the road and back again. They didn't give a damn. I just spent the holidays with my bestie. And not only was she receptive, even though I split time, right? I got an Airbnb, and then I split some time with her as well, with her family, because I like that energy. That's just my life. But I could have been at her house the whole time because she actually wanted me. And I think I have a little PTSD after dealing with the crazy person that was in my life that wouldn't open the door for me or had me wait outside, and all kinds of things that were so passive aggressive and evil and mean, and things that I would never do to her and I didn't do when she was with me and came to visit me. So that's what I want you to understand, guys. Maybe there's a little message there about PTSD, though with Bestie currently, could never happen, would never happen. She literally rolls out the red carpet. There's baskets upon baskets and upon baskets of everything gluten-free, because that's my life, and days that are planned and everything else, no matter what's going on. And she's finding the best places in town for us to go, and the best bestie date days, and also with family as well. And it's just amazing. And I'm not in a pure hell, all right? But we both felt, like I talk about with Ella and Portia, that immediate, like, oh my God, we're not with the right people. When you meet the right person, you'll know you're not with the right people. And for the toxic connection, I have to give credit. She may have felt like this person's more in alignment with me. I no longer have bitterness about her or any of that, because I get it. She was more in alignment with her because I'm more in alignment with this person. It's easy. And I don't have to think about it. And I don't have to wonder what kind of shitty behavior I'm going to get. There is no shitty behavior. If anything, we're both checking in, but we didn't just blow off other connections. We got each other. I remember specifically, she came down to visit, and this is one thing that I will talk about because it might be important for someone here listening. She came down to visit, and we were visiting my sister and doing something, and I remember, and we got an Airbnb because there was a lot going on that weekend, and my sister had a lot of people, and there's several houses when you go to my sister's house, several places to stay at, beaches, condos, all that stuff. I'm with my niece and all that, and you guys have seen me record some videos from the condo, from my niece's condo on the beach, and we got our own Airbnb, and I remember being in that space. Oh my God, she's texting me right now. Hey, bestie. That's so funny. I don't know if she knows I'm going live. She's literally texting me right now. Remember I did the video, guys, about morning chats and coffee time? My bestie is up for morning coffee, and I just freaking adore her. So I don't know what she texted me. I'll have to check when it's over. But she's up early, and she's like an early riser and just always a delight. But I remember, so we got this Airbnb. It's so funny, bestie. Hey, you're going to hear me talking about you right now when you listen to this back. And it was like, we were driving away, like to go somewhere for lunch or dinner or something, to meet up with my family. And I remember just being like having this conversation with her, because I'm sure of my feelings, y'all, if you can't tell. And I was like, I'm so proud of us because we did this integrally. Like, we ended up here finally together, meaning like in a good, healthy space. And the Airbnb was kind of a magical place too. It was like this like secret garden magical place. I wish that I could like just list it for you guys and see. It was so gorgeous. I'm gonna see if I find a picture. I'm gonna put it up on my community page. It had its own like little private pool. It was all overhung, and it was just a wonderful time. I do love one-on-one time with my bestie. But what I will tell you is that I remember us driving and just chatting and being like, gosh, look what we went through with these other friendships, and then we got each other, and we both agreed, and we're like, yeah, it's kind of amazing. We did get each other after having unhealthy friendships that weren't nurturing us. But when we saw each other, it was immediate recognition at first sight. Love at first sight. Yes, love. We loved each other immediately. She adopted me immediately. I was like, who's this crazy lady? But which is funny, and I've told her that, but she wasn't crazy at all. But you know what I loved about that too? For some of you guys that are coming out of these toxic relationships where people wouldn't acknowledge you, wouldn't claim you, wouldn't outrightly to the world just be like, I am delighted in you. My bestie does that to her husband, to her daughter, to everybody. She's like, I just value this friend. And she did it first with me. She was not scared to use her words with me, even when I was like a little bit trepidatious because I was having PTSD and I wasn't used to, I was coming from a toxic person who never tried to act like they really gave a damn about me. She would tell me purposely, I do this to you to keep you humble. You know, like, I'm your Gail to the Oprah, and I'm just going to make sure that you don't think like well of yourself. And I was thinking, I'm pretty much sure that's not how it goes with Oprah and Gail, but okay, sure. Weird flux, but okay. But that was what I was dealing with someone who was like ashamed of me, unless she wasn't ashamed of me because I was eccentric and me. My bestie currently loved me immediately and was like, hey, love you so much. I'm going to tell you first, I love you, and do all of the things. Meaning, like, she was really clear about it that first day. You're adopted. You're my person. And I was like, okay. And damn it if she wasn't right. And it was easy that way. It wasn't a big, like, terrifying drama, and she didn't need to cross compare. For anybody that comes in your life that's really supposed to be there, they won't need to know that other people are their person. They won't need to know. Like, I know for a fact, I can speak this authentically, honestly, and without fear, that she's not going to ditch me to go cross compare. And I'm not ditching her to cross compare. I wanted someone solid in my life as I was growing and I was ascending in certain areas, and they sent me in a person who is solid, who will not be wavered or shaken by whatever new things or energies or opportunities or growth comes into my life. She's solid. She's my person. That's it. When I'm committed, I'm committed. That's it. I'm locked in. And we're locked in. But you can find someone you can be locked in with. And I had spent a lot of time thinking I was locked in with someone who couldn't give a damn about being locked in with me and didn't see the value in that. Now, here's the other side of that. People that don't see your value will eventually see it. But they usually see it when you find your own value, like we started the video with. So you got to go find your value first. You got to do the shadow work. You got to pull away. You got to get out of your codependency. That's one thing I can say about me and Bestie. Love her so much, and we can communicate, and we have access to each other, but we both are busy AF. We both are boss babes in our own way, and we're busy lives. We have clientele, we have things, we have deals we're getting done, we have stuff to do, we have tribes of our own, we have packs of dogs, she does, and I have a tribe of folks, you guys, and also people that I work with every day. I am busy, and she is busy. So codependency is not something I worry about with her. We are not enmeshed. We're not obsessive. We're not in the lower vibrational of things that can happen. Because when it's your person, I don't have to worry about being up under her butt every 25 seconds. because she's my person. God says she's my blessing, she's a gift, and she's a payoff for all the time that you invested into other people and energies. They said, we sent you in someone who's going to love you, and you don't have to worry about if you're running out of time with her. Enjoy her and value her for every day, because we are not promised tomorrow. But know that if we send her your way, she's staying. This is solid. This is longevity. That's what happens when you really evolve out of those lower vibrational karmic connections that you think are your person, and you get into a soulmate connection, those twin flame connections that you think were your thing. You do all your healing, and then you get into a real thing. And it's not something that you can call in, it's something that is given to you and sent to you. Sometimes it'll be messy, like Ellen and Portia. They both had to leave those relationships knowing that both of those spouses had looked in each other's faces and known later, oh wow, that was the moment. Yeah, sometimes there are moments when we do a handoff. It's so funny. The person that she was with that day was her friend that didn't necessarily see her value. Not fully. Doesn't mean she doesn't love her, but it means I know what I saw and I know what she felt. She wasn't being valued. You know how you can look at somebody? It reminds me of that Mario Winans song, do you enjoy being hurt? You know, you should let me love you. Like, I literally was looking at her like, wow, what you're getting isn't right. I didn't know that she felt the same way about me. She was looking at me like, wow, what you're getting isn't right. We both felt like you should let me love you. And that's what ended up happening. But it didn't happen in the conventional way of sneaky links and crazy times. We both did our grown ass woman work. And then our angel said, brilliant. Now we will define your relationship and exalt it and protect it. Protect your bestie. No one can talk about her. No one can say anything about her. And no one can say anything about me. And that's one of the things that I love. As I go on and work with different people, I knew that with my ex-person, that I couldn't have her be around a celebrity client or anything, because she didn't have any kind of class and aplomb and reserve and loyalty to me. She would sell me out for a nickel or a dime. Um, for a nickel or a dime, she would sell me out. That will never happen with this person. They value me. They protect me. They go out of their way to protect me, as they say from Ricky Bobby's. It's one of my favorite things. That will happen. God will bring that kind of connection in your life. There's a point that I keep skipping around here that they want me to go back and make. It's about the besties at Duflake and the fact that we were bought to each other. Both of us, the day that we met specifically, oh, the parallel here. While romantically not Portia and Ellen, but the day that we met, the person that she was with was her person of 20 years, and the person that was on the phone with me was my person of 20 years. The handoff was made. Okay, so while they didn't see each other face to face, energetically, the handoff was made. Also, while I was struggling in the last few years of wrapping down that relationship and trying to realize that it was as terrible as it had turned into, she offered to come on vacations with me and the person that was my ex friend or whatever. But I was very protective because I'm very loyal that way. I didn't want my ex-friend to be triggered, and I didn't understand that my angels were like, listen, we're literally giving you the handoff and we're giving you the okay. And she was like, I remember we rented a cabin in the mountains, me and the old person, and I remember her being like, I could be there, I could come. And I really did want her to come because I just, being with her was easy and fun, but I didn't want my friend to feel infringed upon, and I really was trying to be respectful. When the tables turned and she had an opportunity to do the same, she literally pushed me away. The person, not new bestie, but the old person, toxic goblin, was like, the garbage fire was like, I don't even want to just be with you by myself, and da 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 da. Like all the stuff that she kind of like trained me to be with her, she did not want as soon as she found someone that she wanted to cross compare me with. She did not give a second thought to being like, let's go out to lunch with this person, let's do this, let's do this. But I did not do that to her. And I remember my bestie being like, I'll come down to the cabin. And she has the finances to do it. She had the time to do it. She makes her own schedule. She could have made the time to do it. And she could have done it. And I needed the more emotional support. But I didn't do it because I thought, no, that wouldn't be right. That wouldn't be fair. When you have new connections that actually value you, they will care and they will think about stuff like that. But I just remember her wanting to do that and me wanting her to be there desperately. But I didn't want to be disloyal to the person that I thought the garbage fire toxic goblin but she was absolutely disloyal to me and literally threw other people in my face, which I would never do for her. I went out of my way to not cause her emotional strife or distress. Anyway, that's what someone needs to know, I guess, today, is that sometimes it's better to leave those things behind, but do it integrally. I love the relationship I have, but I feel safe in it because I didn't do anything grimy to get it. I didn't shank my old friend who was being an asshole to me. I really waited and let her pick her destiny, choose your own adventure. I literally put the ball in her court in every way and let her decide that she wanted to discard me. Yes, sometimes you can give someone the power to do that. I let her decide. You just what I did was very it was like a parent. I parented. I was like, okay, so this is your decision. Are you sure? Okay. Well, then you will live with the consequences of your decision. I didn't tell her that. I wasn't like, I'm the best you ever had. No one's going to love you like me. What I was on the mission to see, though, was someone out in the universe going to love me like me? And the universe said to me, are you going to love you like we love you? Because if you do, we'll send you someone that will mirror you. And that's my bestie. I wasn't an asshole in the dismount to the person. I let them tell me how they had found so much better. Everything was better. They were up and it stuck. That's Cardi B for those of you who know. If it's up, then it's stuck. They said it was up and it's stuck. I knew it wasn't stuck and I knew it wasn't up. I knew it was downhill for her in every way. I knew it would affect her child. I knew it would affect so many things. But that was the choice she made and I let her make it. I let her think she threw me away. But I was watching her the whole time. And I was distraught. But God said, it's all right. And he said, do you remember that person that was like, there you are? That's your person. She saw you. She recognized you. She didn't have to taste 27 people to know it was true. And you didn't either for her. And we orchestrated a thing where both of your friends were devaluing you so terribly. And we didn't trauma bond, though. We actually did our work separately and then moved on. It took us years to evolve to bestie. But when we did, now it's up and it's stuck. And that is the truth for us because we were integral, sweet, kind, and thorough for the people that we did love. And now it's each other that we love. And that is what happens when you meet a real soulmate. No cross comparison. It's just great. Doesn't mean there won't be work for us to do and lessons for us to get through, but because we have the ability to communicate, it will not be what it was with those other people that were ingrates, ungrateful for what we did, because what we did was a lot. And I know that because we give a lot to each other and kind of make fun of each other for it in a healthy way. Like you do the most, but we do the most for each other. I don't know anybody in my life that deserves it more than my bestie. And she doesn't feel that anybody deserves it more than me. Isn't that nice? But that's an energy that's mirrored back to me because I gave it to myself. I decided I deserved more than being put on a shelf and cross compared with people that were from Dollar General. Y'all, I know we're not allowed to say that we're better than people, but energetically I was better. Period. Period, sis. I energetically did more work, introspected, was kinder, didn't traffic in jealousy and low vibrations. Doesn't mean I haven't. It just means at the point in my life that I was at, I wasn't. And that means that I deserve to have someone that was top shelf and top tier, not the bottom of the basement, bent hand store, trash fire goblins, and who she was comparing me with. Also from the bent can store. Have any of y'all ever had a bent can store? I lived in Lockhart, South Carolina with my first girlfriend back in the late 90s, and we were poor. And we used to go to the bent can store where you could get items for cheap that were bent or dented or a little out of date. And that's how we ate for a little while when we were super poor until I started working more and she started working more. But yeah, that's the old toxic goblin was comparing me with people from the bent can store. And ma'am, I was like Whole Foods, organic, artisan. All right. That's the kind of love that I'm in now regarding a friendship. That's the kind of connection. My bestie is whole food, organic, artisan as well, gluten-free as well. All the things I desire and all the things she desires and needs that are nourishing to her. Old girl that was like, the bent can store is the best it ever was. Look at this can. It's so bent and shiny. Look at how the the lead's leaching in from the can into these sweet peas and these maters. I'm going to make me a really good rice-a-roni dish. Have at it, bitch. Have at it. I will slice my artisanal bread and eat on my fine china and I'll find my first class up in the sky with a good life. That's what happens when you get into the right friendship. It just, everything in your life is better. And actually, guys, I've shown you it. I haven't just talked about it. I'm not just talking shit. I've shown you it. I've lived my truth. You've seen the receipts. I have provided the transcripts. It's first class. And so let people that think that you are bent can, you aren't as good as the bent can, let them think that they're getting the last laugh. I love it so much. You get the last laugh. Anyway, I have got to get going. I love you so much. Clients are coming up. I want you guys to take care of yourself and understand your soulmate dynamic. And it's true when it's true. And it's there for you. I promise you. I promise you. I promise you. It's there for you. I love you so much. Come back and join me next time and we'll continue to evolve together.